Good morning, students. Welcome to our last class of the course of the machine vision with the topic of stereo vision. Actually, stereo vision is one of the big topic in computer vision and image processing and robotics and industry, because it's widely used in many fields in industry, especially on robotics. And there are a lot of problems you have to understand if you want to study this in future. But for today we will have some information just to know what is the stereo vision, what is the idea behind this topic, and what is the most important problem. And then we will finish this course with this class today. So let's start. This is the outline of our slide. And next, here is the classification of the 3D imaging methods. We have here 3D image or 3D imaging. We have active and passive and a lot of branches under each one. Our stereo system or our topic will be here on this under the passive method of the 3D imaging. This slide actually I took it from the slides of the Mr. Lu Qian, who gave this 3D vision last week from the industry. In general, we have many 3D vision technology, but you can select the suitable technology based on the problem that you are going to solve. So in case if you are looking for more accuracy but you don't care about the distance, maybe you can select this method, interferometry method, for example, or coded structure light. You can see it has both of them. They have like the highest accuracy here, but they are not good with distance. Actually, we have actually many parameters, not only this one, these two parameters, but this is the most important parameters you have to select if you are looking for little long distance. So maybe you can take the stereo or the time of a flight. So it depends on the situation that you are going to solve or to use on industry, for example. So you can see here stereo, it's in the middle, and that's why a lot of engineers, they are trying to use this technology because it's widely used, especially with the robotics systems and mapping. Also in biology, they have studied the system visions of the animals and also for human. For example, here we have the monocular vision, which is the vision that used only by one eye. You can see here from the picture, this used by the left or by the right eye. And binocular vision here is how the animal can see based on two images. So this system or this vision provides two similar images which are processed by the brain to perceive depth, distance, and 3D understanding of objects in space. This is the advantage of using two images. So that's why it's applied to the computer vision based on our life, based on human also. As a human, because this stereo actually came from our understanding to ourselves, right? So this is the human brain, and this is the eyes, left and right. This is the left eye and right eye. If, for example, we have this kind of object, you can see this, the information will be received from the right eye, and the information will be received from the left eye. If you can see here, the angle here will be different from here. Even it's this eye received the same picture, but you can see it's different. So the brain of human, or our brain, has the ability now to process this 2D information to make it on 3D. So that's why we can, as a human, we can see and we can understand the depth and the distance of the objects. This system of the human, this called the stereoscopic vision. Stereoscopic vision. So that's why now they try to apply the same system of the human into robotics system, as you can see from here. Okay, now I will show you something. Maybe you try by yourself. You can see here we have the distance, which is the most important thing to consider in the 3D vision. You can here see here we have two eyes, and here we have two eyes. These two eyes looking to this 3D point. Let's say this point is an object. If you see here, these two eyes, when they look to this object with the near position to the eye, the angle is 72 degree, for example. And if this distance is little bit long, for example, if you focus to any object just with long distance, so the eye here will focus on lower angle. Here alpha equal 28. What does it mean? Try to put something in front of your eyes, just near to your eyes, and just open one eye and close the other one, and then do the opposite. You will see that there is the object you see near to your eye is jumping from one side to other side, which means the angle is big. And then try to close your eyes again, but look to something far. You will see there is no big difference, or maybe little bit difference. That object just move in small space or small angle. This is what we call it the convergence for the near or for the far target, which is important here to understand the depth of 3D vision. Here is also to show you the idea with different example. You can see this scene is 3D, but in two images, one in red color and other one for the blue color. Usually this technique used with 3D movies when you go to the cinema. So because you are using two eyes to see the movie, so the blue for the right, for example, right eye, and the red color for the left eye. Also the same idea here with this example. You can see also the same object has two images with some distance. You can see so there is a difference between these two objects in terms of the position. That's why our brain can process this one or process this issue to make what we call it the depth perception for objects in 3D. So what is the stereo vision, or what is the stereo matching? Here the stereo matching is the task of estimating a 3D model of any scene from two or more images. So it can be more than two images, but here we are using only two. So let's say that we have a 3D object or 3D scene, as you can see here, and this image taken by the left eye and this image taken by the right eye. So you can see there is some differences here. For example, like this, here we have this difference, and we have here for in the left image, you can see we have some difference. So the results should be like this. This is the depth image, or we call it depth map. So what is the depth map? Here to represent the objects of the scenes, like in a gray color, for example. Here the more or the more, the nearest object should be has the brighter color. For example, like this one now, you can see it's more brighter than the background, and when you go far, you will get like a more darker color. So this is we call the depth map. So the idea is to do this stereo matching. You have to find the matching between pixels in the two images. So if you take this, for example, you have to find, for example, you have a pixel here. You can see the mouse on this toy. I put it here. You have to find the same back pixel. You do matching and then calculate the differences between them. You will get the what we call the depth map. So this one, if you do this matching between these two pixels for these two positions, you will get after that, or you will calculate after this, the 3D depth. So here we have map, we call it, we have depth or disparity map, the results of this process. This will give information that to tell the distance or disparity for all pixels, which in general or simply can be said that how far objects from the camera. It's easy. So I show you here some examples. I have this example. Let's just see. So it will take time. Okay, you can see here this the gradient color from far to the near. So the nearest one is in red color, the far one is in blue color, which is clear here. You can see this is the results of the stereo vision creating the depth map. If your system can create this colors, or that means it's the system has the ability to know the depth and the 3D information. This system now of, let's say, the robot now can see that the green color, for example the hand, is near, it's more near to robot more than the blue is the background. So like now the red color here, it's already in front of the eyes of the robot. So the robot now has the ability to understand the situation and the environment and can get or give some decision based on that. Okay, other example, which is this one. Yes, this uses the stereo camera and some devices. This the information now, the disparity map or depth map, 3D point cloud. So what is the idea of measuring the distance? So how do we measure distances with cameras? Okay, in general it's impossible to capture 3D structure from a single image. If you have only one image, it's difficult to create or to have 3D information from it. So let's just have this example. If you have this camera or eye, let's say camera, okay, and this is the 3D object, this is the pyramid object is in 3D, this is our 3D scene. So this camera has this 2D image for this 3D object. So this now it's a 2D image. If you only have one camera like this now, you will have 2D only, 2D information. And let's say that we have another camera in different position, also take 2D image for that 3D objects. So if you have 2D images if you have two images, both of them they are in 2D, then you can create some 3D information. This we call it here 3D reconstruction by stereo. So the observed scene, which is this one, the observed 3D scene from two different viewpoints. You have this viewpoint and this another viewpoint. From this two images, you can solve the intersection between these two images and recover the 3D structure. Usually this image we make it on rays like matrix vectors, and then you try to do some calculation between these matrices, then you will get the 3D information. So this is the idea of the 3D reconstruction by stereo. So now the idea is to have two cameras or to have two images in the same time and calculate the 3D information between these two images. So we have two ways to create these two images. The first one is you create the structure from stereo vision. Stereo vision like this. You have two eyes or two cameras. Use two cameras with known relative position and orientation. This one way. Another way, you can structure the two visions by motion. What is the meaning of this? The idea is you can use one camera, no problem. So you take picture for the scene by the camera, then you move little bit based on the specific distance. You already know how much this distance, and you take by the same camera another view for that object, then you do the structure. So here by motion or by stereo. This is the idea how to measure distances for the 3D vision. Okay, here you need to focus because I will go more in details. This one to show you the geometry of simple stereo vision. We will not consider all cases of a stereo vision, just we will take one case and try to study and understand how we can calculate the 3D information. Let's say that we have the simplified case of the stereo vision, which is an ideal case. Not always we have it, but now just to say it from our side and to assume that both cameras are identical and are aligned on horizontal axis. Okay. Here for example we have camera on the left side here, OL, and this is another camera on the right side, OR. Okay, O here comes from the optical flow, so we have optical flow L and optical flow R, or camera L, camera R. Both of them you can see this is the dimension, just to understand, X, Y, X, Y, and this is the depth Z, which is going like this, Z. Okay, so you have two cameras. These cameras, between the distance between these cameras L and R, or left and R, this one, this is the distance, we call it the baseline, B. So two cameras and baseline B, the distance between them. Okay, let's say that for example here we have this object P in 3D information, X, Y, Z. This object in 3D information in X and Y and Z dimensions, and this camera this camera has this image plane. I mean, this camera take already the image for this 3D object, and you can see this is the point, the same object here, or the same point of the 3D for the camera number one, or camera of the left side will be here. with this position, u and v, u for x and v for y. Okay, the position. Also the second camera, which is for the right side, has also an image for this object or for this 3D point, and this point in the image for the right camera will be here. Also it has a position UR VR, which is X and Y. So here in this case we just consider that our change only on the X axis here. So for the Y axis there is no moving, this Y and this Y, both of them they are fixed. So the same information for the Y, we just have some differences on the X axis. We just try to study this example in the X axis. So because of the camera shifts along X, VL equal VR, this is VL always equal VR for the Y axis. So our change will be on the U, between the UL and UR. So I hope that you understand the situation now. Now we have two images for the two cameras. Both of them they already have picture for the 3D point, but in different X axis. Okay, this is the idea. Let's go to the next slide. Okay, now the same shapes that we discussed before, we will do it in different way. This is the 3D point, okay, and this for the camera on the left side, and this is the camera on the right side. And let's say that this is the baseline, the difference or the distance between these two cameras, which is B. This is the image that taken by the left camera, and this is the image also taken by the right camera. Will be like this for the 3D object. This is the left and right. This is the image plane. You can see here this is the object in the left side, and this is the object on the right side. So as we mentioned, only the change or only the information change happened on the U axis or X axis. So if you can see, because if you the camera the Z axis should be like this, but this object taking on this side, so you can see the change happened on that side from left to the right for the camera on the left side. Also you can see this object also in the image happened on this side. So the moving of the information or the X, it's on this direction. Okay, so based on this we should know that from the baseline to the P we have something we call it the Z, which is the depth, the distance from the image and to the point, we call it the Z. So based on this information we try to find what is the depth and disparity of this view or this 3D image. So we know that every camera, for example this camera, has something we call it the focal length, which is the distance between the image, the center of the camera to the image. This we call it the focal. So based on that you can see we have also baseline can be separated to B1 and B2. So B1 and B2 together they are here equal to B, the baseline. Why we do all this one? Because we will depend on this geometry to calculate or to do our calculations based on these triangulars. So using the relation for this from the similar triangles to show you, I show you here the idea. We have this triangle, this F and UL, you can see this one and this one. It has the same relation, this triangular to this big one. So the idea is like this: UL divided by F, UL divided by F has the same relation of the B1 divided by Z. The same way also for the camera on the right side. Minus UR, because in the opposite now, the direction is opposite of the UL. So minus UR divided by F equal to the big triangular, which is B1 divided by Z. Both of them, if you combine, so UL plus minus UR divided by F equal B1 plus B2 divided by Z. This now we can create something we call it disparity information. So multiply by F, so this like F here, we will remove this F. The disparity always is the difference between UL and UR, the x-axis, between the x-axis of the left and R side. So disparity now is UL minus UR came from here, which also equal to BF over Z. This is the equation of the disparity. This B is the baseline, F is the focal length, and Z here is the depth. So the disparity always depends on the depth, which is this one from the baseline until the 3D point. I think it's clear here. So to find the depth, also you use the same equation. Depth is the Z, this Z. Okay, to find it you will use the same equation, which is B, the baseline multiplied by the F, all divided by the disparity, which is this one. Okay, so the idea here, you can see always disparity is inversely proportional to the depth. So this is the idea. More disparity, lower depth, and lower depth lead to the high disparity. I think I hope it will be clear here. Let's say the next example. Here in similar way, we also have the same idea, but with little different in the position. You can see this position, for example, it's in this area or in this side. This is the camera on the left and camera on the right, but you can see both of the image, they have the same change on the X direction or in the U direction. You can see. Okay, so how to calculate? The same way also, the similarity. Yeah, so the base for the distance, the baseline between the camera L and camera R is B. Okay, B1 is the distance for this big triangular. This is for the B1. This is the distance. And B2 is for this small triangular, this one. Okay, so the idea is how to calculate UL divided by F. This is UL, this is F, has the same relation of B1 divided by Z. B1, which is this big one, this big triangular. Okay, and the same UR, this UR divided by F has the same relation of the B2. This is B2, which is this one, divided by Z. Okay, both of them they are in the same direction. We don't have minus here, so this is the disparity equation. Will be like this. You will see at the end the same equation. B multiplied by f over z. B, which is this one, this part, only this is B. And for z also will be the same for the depth, using the same equation from the disparity. So disparity or depth, they have the same information but in the opposite way. So here we have some information about the stereo vision based on what we now explained. What is the disparity now? Disparity is the difference in image location. Okay, the difference in image location. For example, here in x-axis, UL minus UR, this is the disparity of the same 3D point when the projection, or when it's projected under the perspective to two different cameras. Okay, we have this 3D point. In our figure it was B, if you remember. Okay, this projected to two cameras. So the differences between these two images or two locations, pixel by pixel, this we call it the disparity map. So the depth and disparity, they are inversely related. So for the fine grain depth measurement is restricted to the nearby object. What does it mean? Which is this one, you can see. You can just see this figure. I just explained to you now. If we have these two cameras, okay, and by this camera we see three objects. This one, the smile one, and the triangular, and this object, let's say it's a square here. When the object is near to the camera, the depth is low, like this. Here is the distance or the depth. When the distance is not that far, is very low or very near, okay, we have high disparity here. Okay, so more distance, for example, now we are talking here, more distance gives lower disparity. So go more also, you will see that, for example, if we are here, you will see we have lower, more, less, and lower for the disparity. So what is the idea? The idea here is if the idea here is when you have nearby objects like this, okay, you will have a good reading of the measurements. But when these objects becomes far, you can see if I have many objects in this area, the measurements here for the depth will be very changed. That's why we cannot have like a good measurements. We will get error for depth once increases with decreasing the disparity. So it means, in other way, the good information will be in this area. When you go far, for example here and far, then your information will be not clear, you cannot find the differences. So that's why we can read the nearest objects better and brighter comparing to the background. Also here, also some information, just continue about the stereo vision. All foreground objects have bigger disparity, the same idea also, disparity comparing to the background objects. Disparity is proportional to the stereo baseline. Disparity is proportional, this is the disparity, proportional to the baseline, the stereo baseline. So more baseline, more distance gives more disparity also. So disparity is proportional to the stereo baseline B. The smaller the baseline B, the more uncertain or the estimate of the depth. However, as B is increased, some objects may appear in one camera but not in the other. Remember, both camera have parallel. Here just to tell you that with a good baseline you will have a good disparity, and the disparity always is proportional to the stereo baseline B. The projection now we have another problem. The projection of the single 3D point onto the left and the right stereo images are called the correspondence pair. So what is this one? This we will see to the next slides. Now we have another problem. We call it the correspondence problem. What is the correspondence problem? If you remember that, to calculate the disparity map or depth map, to calculate you have to select one pixel, for example, in the left image, okay, and find the match pixel to this pixel, find the match pixel on the right image, then calculate the differences to find the disparity map between these two pixels, right, or two objects we can say. So the idea is the disparity is the differences between two matched pixels, right, on the left and the right image. The problem is if you select one pixel, for example, in the left side, how do you know which one here, which one in the pixels, you have a lot of pixels here, which one is the most match, that then you can calculate the disparity for this. So this is what we call here the problem is of the correspondence, how to calculate the correspondence problem. So here let's say that we have this left image, this image on the left camera, okay, and we selected this pixel, this one, on X and Y axis, okay. We know that Y, we don't have any change on Y for the left and right image. Our change now as a simple stereo vision only happened on the X axis. So here for each point X, Y on the left camera, okay, define a window centered at that point. So when you select any pixel, for example this one, you have to define a window, for example 7 by 7 window, 10 by 10, whatever. So it's just to define a window around that pixel. So now you have this window on the left image, right? Then go to the right image, I show you. Now we are in the right image, okay. We know that already our change usually on the X axis. So we try to take many pixels on the X axis, okay, which is now here we will take many windows of here on this area. Then we try to compare this match between that window from the left image to the right image, window by window. So this is now the window that we selected from the left image, and we try now to compare here. So here the idea is search the corresponding of that image, of this image on the left, or for the corresponding point with the search region in the right image. So let's do it. You can see now he is looking for the more match. Again, I make it to be clear to you again. I think it's moving, right? So once this one find the most match to this area, for example now like this, then calculate the disparity between these 2 points, okay. The idea is first find the corresponding points between these 2 images, okay. So if, for example, if we have this window and you are going to find the most matched window to that window. How to calculate this match? If you remember, we will use these equations. This, I think we already have some information from the template matching. We use the same concept here. Just find the template matching, or do the template matching way to find the most accurate or the most near to between two images. So we didn't give the details of the image, we just give the general description. This is, we call it the SSD, sum of the square differences. If you have image from the left and image from the right, it will be like this, sum of the square differences. Usually the best match is the minimum, the most minimum number. Okay, like this. For example, you can see, if you read many templates, this one here is the most matched with the between these two pixels from these two images. This for SSD, sum of square differences. We have also another one we call the absolute differences, also the same idea. The minimum one is the most matched. And we have another equation we call it the cross correlation. As I told you, just this description is just the simple one. Actually we have like many things to consider inside this equation. So the cross correlation is like this, working as a maximum. The maximum number is the most match between two windows. Okay, so another example just to show you. Here in the left image, I select this point and this window now around that point. So I know that the change on x-axis, so I will find here, I will find many windows on the x-axis and try to compare based on the similarity equations. Then you will find that is the most minimum number is this window, the most match this window to this window. Then calculate the disparity. So this is the idea of using the corresponding problem to solve it. Okay, so what is the correspondence problem? In summary, use just the match between two images to calculate the 3D scene point on the right image. The calculation to make sure that it's matched or they are near, using the similarity measures, which is the cross correlation or the sum of the square differences, one of them. Usually if you have a big image or big images like videos or something like this, sometimes the calculation will be more complex and need to be solved. We have some mathematical way to solve this, but we will not discuss about this in this class because we don't have time for it. So this is just the idea of the correspondence problem and how to solve it by the similarity measures. Okay, let's go. We are now at the end of the slides. This example of the real-time stereo by NASA, the name of this device or this robot is Nomad robot, used in the Antarctica to find some they are doing some research based on this robot. You can Google and see and read about it to know more information. So thank you very much, and I don't know what to say. This topic for the stereo is really interesting. To be honest, I would like from the beginning of this course to give this in the lab and show you the idea, because now this more sophisticated codes or sophisticated programming in computer vision, but unfortunately we cannot do it because we already finished everything here, the labs and report. So I wish you the best on the test and exams, and see you. Thank you very much.